Yo YouTubers, how's it going, my homies out there, yo lads? Okay, because I did a video a while back where I promised to do a speech, and please excuse the engine sound on this, right? Just say it as though I've got like a scrambler on my voice or something, or do you know what I mean? Don't worry about it. It's what I say that's important, isn't it, right? The noise of this computer, I've just done a couple of tests, I've done short tests, and the background noise is ridiculous, and I can't work it out for the life of me because the microphone's up there, nowhere near, the propeller's underneath, you know. But anyway, if the sound bothers you, I apologise, right folks. But anyway, I did a video a while back where I said I was going to do a speech, and I didn't actually do a proper speech, right? But I was planning to do one, but I didn't get round to it, right? That's what happened, like. I'm going to have a bottle of beer and get relaxed and that. And then Bruce drinks Belgica. Right. And I'm going to do a proper speech, right folks, to make up for the, not talking properly. Right. I'm having a bevy. I haven't had a drink all day. It's quite late. I'll give you the time check. It's 21:32. Which is like just gone 9:30 Greenwich Mean Time, Sunday the 5th of April, right? That's the time check. I'm going to do a speech, right? The speech I'm going to actually do is basically when I had my old channel. I did a speech on my old channel a while back about 9/11. Of all things, right? And I closed my old channel down, right? And I didn't have much space on my hard drives and things, and the video cassettes, or the camcorder recordings, because I used to use a camcorder. They took up all my hard drive space or whatever, you see, and I was like getting down to the nitty gritty with no space. So I had to erase a load of speeches when I closed the channel down, right? And I started the channel up again, right? And I didn't really think that old speeches mattered, right? Then one of my loyal viewers who was subbed to me for a long time, he got back to me and he said, Bruce, is there any chance you could do that, could you repost the speech about 9/11? Because I thought it was really interesting, right? And I said, oh man, I've actually recorded over it, but I can do it again, or do similar, as close as I can. So that's what I'm going to do. I made my mind up before because I was actually thinking about it. It's quite an important message, really. It's just some like sort of psychic connections to 9/11, leading up to 9/11, right? Now, before I even start, I'm going to say to people, during these days with all this deception going on, all this stuff where it looks like they're trying to get martial law, doesn't it, right folks? Be aware of all kinds of things, guys. Be aware of when you're using phones to talk to each other and computers, and people start arguing and bickering and don't let it happen. Don't let things get in between, because you've got the dark web is run by demons, right, folks? You've got to realise that. People who meddle with the dark web, they've reported their computers going crazy and stuff, and they've got no control over it. And that's like demons, guys. You know what I mean? They're down below, and they can't emerge. So they use the internet to communicate to the surface of the earth, kind of thing. And everyone's falling for it. People are actually getting parcels sent to them from the dark web, from sickos. They could be like, I don't know. I think it's run by the military, to be honest. The dark web. They're all like the dark side of the military. You have to have killers and murderers and torturers, don't they? You know what I mean? In the military, like. Excuse this engine thing, you know what I mean? I'm sorry about that, like. Anyway, let's have a swig, right, before we get on with the speech. But what I'm saying to you guys is, these demons, what I'm talking about, we're familiar with them as alien greys. Most people call them alien greys, right? There's peaceful ones. They're not on the earth. They're not imprisoned on the earth. They've been imprisoned on the earth because they're evil, they're sinister, fallen angels, guys, right? And they're the same things that, they're part of, when people go to spiritualist churches and you get like an auntie, you know, like the woman who's running, it's usually a woman, isn't it, like a batty woman running the church, like, or whatever. And you know when you say, like, say I'm sitting in the audience, they go, is there a Bruce in the audience? And I go, yeah, my name's Bruce, like, you know what I mean? And they go, well, we've got, like, you know, an auntie, like, where, you know, an Auntie Mabel, she's saying, like, do you remember when you used to, like, you know, play football in a backyard and that, like, you know what I mean? And you go like, whoa, yeah, wow. And then they tell you all these things that they know about you, right? And you think the woman's a psychic and she's talking to your dead relative. And it's demons, folks. They know everything about all of us, you know what I mean? But if you don't pay attention to it, right, folks, they're harmless. They can't do nothing, right? And one of the great games is to make families argue with one another, and and that's what I've been seeing a lot in my own family and a lot of other families, where we're being coaxed into arguing with each other over silly matters that, like, it should just go over our heads, right? But these little demons, that's what they fester on things in the past. Do you understand? Like, say, like, if I had an argument with someone in my family about 10 years ago about a birthday cake or something, the demon will pop up in the internet through the dark web or whatever, and make that person think about, remember that birthday cake. Do you understand? And you've got to sit there and think, look, it's nothing. You know, my relatives are okay with me, I'm okay with them. You've got to learn to override these things, guys, because the internet is a playground for them, isn't it? With everyone, especially on phones, you know what I mean? Those phones, could be remotely controlled by these things. If people who've been using the dark web and messing with it have actually they've been sitting on the laptops or on the PCs, and if somebody comes up and, like, a little message from one of these demons that says, I told you, don't mess with us, we can do this or do that to your computer. We're talking about some seriously heavy duty demons, guys, you know what I mean? Right. So that's my first message, like, we should know. You know, the Bible tells us about demons and stuff, and I'm not being religious, I'm not like the Bible says, but it is actually in there, the facts are in there about demons and these presences, like. And the best example I can give you is when you go to a spiritualist church, you know what I mean? Has anyone out there seen the film Hereditary? I mean, the whole film is based on a family, and I know it's only a movie, right, guys, but it's quite accurate, if you know what I mean, right? I wouldn't recommend it if you're squeamish or whatever, like, right? But I just did a bit of research because I've seen other people's recommendations, you know what I mean? What they said about it, and I thought, that sounds like familiar, that, you know, it's like, and the whole background is the old woman of the family who's died at the beginning of the movie is in a spiritualist church, isn't she? You know, she was a member of a spiritualist church. And they're bringing demons into the earth. The film is all about them summoning a demon into the family, and it starts meddling with the whole family, you know what I mean, right? So it's all in that film, Hereditary, right? But we should be aware of that, folks. I'm fully aware of that. I don't let anything get to me. If anyone says anything offensive to me or anything, I just go, wow, that little demon in the background. I don't actually, if I have an argument with a member of my family, I don't actually go, shut up you, and talk directly to me relative. I go over the heads and think, hey, that little demon in the background's getting a little bit feisty there, a little bit moody in it, like, or a little bit jealous or whatever it is, like, you know what I mean? Because they are, the 7 deadly sins. These demons are jealousy itself. They hate humans, don't you understand? So they'll meddle with as many people as they can, right? We've got to be aware of it, especially in these days with all this stuff going on, you know. Anyway, back to the speech, right, folks. I hope that makes sense to you anyway. Pay no attention, don't go to spiritualist churches, even some ordinary churches like they're supposed to be religious churches. They're filled with the same creatures, you know what I mean? In some cases, they're just there to make money, you know what I mean? So you've got to be very careful who you mix with and that, like, follow your instincts, follow your gut feelings or whatever, you know. And just pay no attention to when people argue online or talk to you online, or because you could have all kinds of things in the middle, right? And with everyone using them phones, there's definitely something in them, isn't there, you know what I mean? Scrying mirrors, whatever you want to call them, like. But anyway, here's my speech, right? I put this speech up on YouTube, and like I say, someone said to me, could you re-upload it, because I'd like to see it again, because I thought it was interesting. So I said, look, I know that I'm telling the whole truth when I talked about it, so I'll do it in the future at some point, right? And I thought, now, I'll do it now, like, right? Alright, now, leading up to 9/11, right, I was kind of insane, right? I was going, you know, like mental illness, right? I was on Stelazine tablets. Anyone want to check them out? They're like anti-psychotic. You know, I took a lot of, this was like, I got recommended Stelazines by my psychiatrist, right, folks? When I say I've been mentally ill, I'm not just making it up to get money, you know, off the social. I was really bad, guys, you know what I mean? I was like paranoid psychosis. Oh man, I didn't know what planet I was on, to be honest, right? But the strange thing was, I was studying these books, the Don Juan books at the time. It was before I read the Bibles, before I got into any of those things, right? I didn't know nothing about none of that, right? I'm drinking beer because it helps me to speak without any restriction. I tell the truth when I'm, you know, it's like, it's a truth drug, you know what I mean? I talk, I don't care, you know what I mean, who can hear me or whatever. But anyway, I was reading books, you know, the Don Juan books, the Carlos Castaneda, right? Now, I know a lot of people think they're fake, right? And I know there's all kinds of... The Carlos Castaneda himself sort of started the cult and went a bit batty himself, right? And he started this thing called, think about this, the Cult of the Blue Angel or something they were called, right? Now, what I'm saying, like, you know, these demons masquerade as angels, don't they, you know what I mean? They're fallen angels, aren't they? Right. Now, Carlos Castaneda, he was a beginner, remember, when he met the Indian and all that. He wasn't actually a Mexican Indian himself. He wasn't of the, you know, the origins and the teachings that the guy had himself, the Indian chief, Don Juan, right? So he picked up obviously a lot of knowledge from Don Juan, and he was obviously on the front line of picking that knowledge up because he was writing it all down, wasn't he? Right, but it kind of went to his head, right? And this is the proof that them books were real, right? The best thing I can give, because I read like a few of them, right, you know, and the later ones started getting a bit silly where he was trying to make things up to make the reading interesting, and he needed to sell more books, right? But the original stuff where he was actually talking one-to-one with Don Juan, man, the wisdom in that, right? And there's stuff about Don Juan talking about a predator, isn't there, right? And you know the predator in the film, like Arnie Schwarzenegger and that, right? Remember, that's all sort of set in the South America, isn't it, right? In the beginning, you see Predator ransacking a load of cocaine cartel sort of people, don't you? You know, like the story. I know it's only in film, right? But I think it's some movies they use like real footage and integrate it into a movie, you know what I mean? Because it's got like hot press. You know, like a newspaper gets a good photograph. Just think about it, one photograph, one paparazzi gets one good photograph, and everyone falls over themselves. So just imagine if like a few minutes of footage was captured of some extraterrestrial, like, or something like. You know, they'd make it into a film, wouldn't they, and stretch it out and put actors in there and everything like that. Now, Don Juan talks about the Predator as being like a controlling creature or something. It's like, now if you think of it from a Mexican Indian perspective, or a tribal perspective in Mexico, South America, and then you look at the pyramids, you know, in Mayan pyramids and Aztec pyramids and stuff, you see advanced knowledge, don't you? You see advanced, it's alien, it's basically like extraterrestrial to me, that, right? And some of them pyramids, right, you know, the ones that they're like a big pyramid and they've got like a square on the top with like windows, right? That's like a spaceship could land on them, you know what I mean? And it's like the bit that sticks up at the top with the little windows or the little doors is like that matches up with the inside of a spaceship, so that like when people get off the spaceship, predators, creatures from another, you know, of a higher life form, Nephilim, whatever you want to call them, you know, obviously advanced life forms, and they know about warfare and everything, right? They'd get off the craft and walk straight through them windows, and then they're inside the pyramid, and the people down on the ground, the tribes, the slaves, right? Because that's what the Predator does in Don Juan. He's making slaves of everyone, isn't it? Like, you know, the species, the Predator, like I might be talking bonkers here, mate, but where do you think the Indians get the ideas for headdresses and, you know, feathers and all that kind of stuff? Where do you think it came from? Do They didn't, cavemen didn't come up with that straight away themselves, did they? Right. And then you look at the pyramids, there's all these serpents, like a reference to looking up to snakes and creatures that are of a reptilian nature. Right. So that's one of the interesting points in Don Juan, was like, I thought, wow. I mean, David Icke spoke about it on some of his videos, right, and I think he's actually on the ball, where he's like, he's connecting dots regarding, like, this Don Juan guy seems to, like, be telling the truth about a predator of some kind. I mean, we're talking about an extraterrestrial creature that's capable of just killing humans very easily, you know what I mean, with laser beams or whatever, but they want slaves, don't they? They want people doing things, building things, they want them to do things for them, so they manipulate them, show them warfare, blah, 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 right? Now, here's the point in the Don Juan books, right? I'm going to get to the point later, like, this is like it's all sort of joined. The reason I think the Don Juan books are actually real, that Carlos Castaneda was telling, say, like 90% truth, right? Some of it's glorified and fictionalised because he needs to fill the gaps. He might have run out of ideas, or he wasn't talking to the Indian enough or something, right? So he needed stuff to write stuff, right? But the fact that Don Juan gives him peyote, and he takes his first peyote trip, the writer Carlos Castaneda, right? Now, if that book was fictional, right, and the books are about peyote, right, there'd have been more peyote trips, wouldn't there, guys? Do you understand? It'd have been like, if I was writing a book about peyote and doing, like, medicinals or, psychotropics with a load of Indians, right, I'm not going to stop after the first trip, am I? Right. But because it was too much for him, he couldn't do any more peyote. He just wasn't ready for it. His mind wasn't trained for it, right? So what he ends up doing is magic mushrooms and smoking plants, right? Because that's all he can handle, and that gives him, like, is a bit too much for him as it is. If you read on him that, like, he's like, he can't handle it, basically. He's having a hard time, you know what I mean? Because his mind's not trained for it, right? He's a university graduate studying, anthropology and, ancient races or whatever, and plants and stuff, right? Now, while I was reading them books and stuff, right, I'd been mad. I'd actually gone off my head and been ill, mentally ill, right, folks. And let's just say I said a lot of things about things that made a lot of people dislike me, because I was very honest in that, because when you've had a breakdown, guys, you don't care what you talk about, you speak very openly when you've had a breakdown, you can't help it, like, right? And this led to a lot of things where, like, people hated me, people didn't like me anymore, you know what I mean? It was like, they wanted me. I was starting to tell the truth about things, like the Wizard of Oz, looking behind the curtain. I was speaking so totally honest about stuff, right? And I was on medicinals. Obviously, I was on Stelazine, which was an antipsychotic, like, but there was this kind of, like, I felt like people were after me from years ago, like, because when I was younger, I'd nicked things out of cars, and I used to nick things. I'll tell the story at some point about when I stole a drum kit when I was in a band. We had a band and we couldn't afford a drum kit, and I literally single-handedly stole someone's drum kit. It'd been there since the 60s and it was crap, it was old, but just imagine that the family were all onto me, like, all these people were after me, guys, right? I had this, like, posse of people who wanted to, like, imprison me, basically, right? Like, it was like My Name is Earl, My Name is Earl, the series, right? But anyway, I didn't actually know that was going on. I didn't know people were pursuing me and people were saying, like, we can hold him for this, he stole off me, or he broke into my car and stole my tape recorder, or he stole my binoculars or whatever. But there was this posse of people all after me. It's kind of funny, because I stole a lot of things off people when I was a teenager, because that's the way it was. We didn't have no money, and when we were kids, people used to say, you gotta steal it. I nicked some things, right? So I had this posse of people who had this excuse, like what we say, an axe to grind, right? They had an excuse to hunt me down and go like, we're going to get Bruce and put him into chains, basically. You know what I mean? They had an excuse, but they were taking it a bit too serious, you know what I mean? These drums were crap, guys. It was, I don't understand if it was like Neil Peart's drum kit, like, you know, with all the cymbals and everything, like, it was like a 60s, like, rusty, creamy white, crappy drum kit from the 60s, and they probably would never have used it ever again. I'd done them a favour. I didn't break into the house, it was in a garage, you know, like a separate from a house, you know, completely on a, you know, people rent garages. It was empty basically, and them drums were there and that, but that's just one of the things that Nick, right, that made people go, right, we can get him for this, you know what I mean? I was like Steve Jones in the Sex Pistols, you understand? You know, Steve Jones was always talking about, he stole off a lot of people, and he got a lot more stuff than I did, let's put it that way, right? But he was like my mentor in the world of music. I mean, I was a guitarist when I started playing. Steve Jones was my kind of like benchmark, right? So I was a thief as well, like, you know what I mean? But years later, none of that mattered to me. I'd stopped nicking off people and all that. But I had this posse of people who wanted to, like, you know, they wanted to hang me basically, you know what I mean? Or whatever it was, they like hold me in chains, right? So anyway, I'm on my medication, mad as a hatter, not realising all these people are pursuing me, right? And I was meeting people and thinking they were friends, and I didn't know, they were all stitching me up, they were surrounding me. It was like, have you ever seen the Murder on the Orient Express? Where there's not just one murderer who stabs someone to death. There's like a whole, like, there's like 12 people all stabbed someone because they all had revenge. You know what I mean? It was like that, like loads of people all wanted to get me, like. Right. But anyway, I'm simultaneously studying Don Juan, right, and kind of going off my head and things, right, and learning all these like amazing things from this Indian's wisdom, and taking magic mushrooms and taking LSD. Do you know, I really put my head through the outer limits, basically, right. I was like Peter Green and Sid Barrett mixed. You know, Sid Green, like, you know what I mean? Or, hey, Pete Barrett. You know, Pete Barrett should be my stage name, like, because I was like Sid Barrett and Peter Green combined. Like, I lost the plot. I didn't want to play my guitar anymore, you know what I mean? I done all that, like, but it wasn't quite as severe, because all LSD isn't as strong as theirs, is it, you know? Right. But anyway, I wasn't aware I was being surrounded by all these people, these like Officer Dibbles in my life who wanted to hold me in chains, basically, right? But I was studying all the stuff, like the Don Juan stuff, simultaneously, right? And I got into like the art of dreaming is an exercise in it, right? Which is like teaches you how to, like, when you're dreaming, you know, you're kind of like living in a separate reality. And I still do it. I actually, when I go to bed, I hate waking up, guys. I go to bed, I love dreaming. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh no, I'm still here, I'm still alive. I've got no care about this life whatsoever. The only reason I've got any care in this life is for relatives to think a lot of me, you know, like, you know, the few of them that still think I'm okay, like, you know what I mean? After me, like, being such a thief and everything, like. But, like, I was reading all these Don Juan things, right, and there was, like, losing self-importance, like, the art of dreaming was an exercise. Losing self-importance was another exercise, which I'm going to go into in another speech, right, guys. I'm going to actually I was going to do a speech about that, you know, just specifically about this exercise called losing self-importance, but I'll save that. I'll use this like a chain reaction and go into the next speech with that one, like, right? So hang on for that one, guys, because it's very important. I want everyone to know about how to lose self-importance, right? It's very important, right? Because, you know, someone calls you a name, you sort of go, so what? You know, you learn a lot of things, like, but I want to save that for another speech, right? The art of dreaming, using one's double was another thing to learn from it, right? Where you're actually, you yourself, your higher self, your finer self is elsewhere, but you've got this replacement living in your place, like a double, literally, like a robot or a clone, right? But you're not cheating or cloning yourself. It's a spiritual thing, man. Right? But this Indian taught me loads of things. I was getting right into it, right? And then, right, I had a peculiar dream where the way I seen it, right, folks, I saw like planes crashing behind, you know, the pinnacle in Washington, the big white obelisk thing. I actually saw that in a dream and connected to planes crashing, right, and I was like, I'm sure some planes are going to crash into that obelisk thing, right? You know what I mean? In a dream, I knew there was going to be something to do with America, right? And I wasn't far off because the Pentagon got attacked, didn't it, right? By their own missiles, it seems like, you know. Nod, nod, wink, wink, say no more. We all know that that's a bit shady. But anyway, I knew there was something major coming up in America, right? And at the time, right, I actually had a pen pal in New York, right? And I was writing letters to this woman. She was like a friend of mine, and she was a heavy-duty Beatles head, right? And she used to come to England, and she loved Liverpool, you know. She was a New Yorker, right? Full-blown, like, you know, New York. You know, the full-blown New York. And she actually worked in the World Trade Center, right? Which is bizarre, right, isn't it? She worked in the World Trade Center, right? And she used to send me letters and I'd write back to her, like, and she actually got me to kind of like trust the Beatles, basically. I never liked the Beatles. I didn't think anything of them. I thought they were con men and everything, right? But because of her and her passion, I was getting into the essence of it, like thinking, wow, yeah, I'm being a bit like too, you know, a bit harsh here, man, you know. And I started buzzing off John Lennon and that kind of thing, whereas before that I was like, I thought Yoko Ono was a con woman, I thought John Lennon was a bit of a stooge, you know, I didn't rate the Beatles at all, guys. I thought they were overrated, right? But I started absorbing it, like, and getting into the gist of what she was into, right? So get it, I was sending letters and parcels that would arrive in New York, and maybe some days she'd take them straight to work in the morning in the World Trade Center, right? And then I was having these dreams during it all. I was having dreams that I was in New York, right? I was actually in New York, walking around, but in the dream, people were leading me around, right? It was always like people holding my hand and saying, like, you know, I'll come up this fire escape here, or down this stairwell here, you know what I mean, right? So something seemed to be going on, right, where I was still at home in you know, in England. But simultaneously, I was having these dreams, and they were lucid, man. I was getting into the art of dreaming and stuff like that, right? I was having the odd trip and the odd mushroom trip and stuff. And I was like thinking, I'm just turning my telly over, like, just hold on. I was like sort of, my mind was elsewhere, you know what I mean? I was in a kind of, I wasn't in the real world. I was on another planet, basically. I was off my head, right, but I was on medication as well, right. But anyway, I was starting to see these dreams and thinking, wow. I woke up and I'd be like, I was in New York there, man. I don't know how I got there, like, that was weird. Right, and remember I had a friend there, like, right. And then a little bit later on the line, this is before the 9/11 incident, right? This is before the 9/11 incident. I actually was sitting with my mum watching telly. Now at the time, because I was mad, and because I was kind of like, I didn't care about my image, I didn't make myself look nice or nothing. My hair was like long, thick, scraggly. I comb it now. I actually use conditioner and things and shampoo now, whereas back then it was like springs, do you know what I mean? It was like wire springs. My head was like proper messy, like, you know what I mean? And I always had a beard, you know, like a sort of short, scraggly beard. But I was like a proper tramp, and anyone who knew me back then, they'll know I'm telling the truth. I used to wear jeans with holes in, not for fashion, you know the way everyone wears jeans with holes, like big woolly jumpers with holes in, and like the elbows worn out and everything. I was literally a tramp, like, guys, and I looked quite scraggly, like, you know, like a sort of Merlin kind of thing, like. But I'm sitting there with my mum watching the telly, and the current state that I looked in, my hair, my beard and everything at the time, like, you know, it was like a mess basically, like. I'll go into that in the losing self-importance speech later on, right? But remember, I'm learning all this stuff about the Mexican Indians stuff and all that I was even thinking it could be fiction and everything, like, not really realising what I was getting myself into and absorbing, like, in my mind, right? And I was sitting there one night with my mum, right? My mum was still alive at the time, and my arm was, I'm not sure my arm was actually, he was there, you know, on the other side, like, and already he was in bed. I think he was actually deceased at the time, right? If I remember correctly, I'm not sure, like. But all I know is I was watching the TV with my mum, right? And she used to have full control of the living room and the television, and then when she went to bed, I'd watch the telly, you know what I mean, and sort of turn over and put whatever I wanted on, right? And we're sitting there watching this. I'd had a drink. I was just sitting there with like a bottle of cider or something, like, you know. And I used to chat to my mum while we watched the telly and that, like. And she'd be listening to me and that, you know what I mean. I'm sitting there like watching this film. I don't know what it was called, right, guys? I haven't got a clue. I've never seen it since. Never seen it before. It was one of them TV films, and it had a kind of like live transmission frequency about it, if you know what I mean. It was weird, right? And I'm learning about using the double, you know, using one's double. I was like getting right into like, wow, you can actually have a separate self elsewhere and a separate reality, as Don Juan called it, and all that, like, right? And I'm sitting there with my mum watching this film, whatever it was. It was like a TV movie, right, guys? And in it, they were in like a skyscraper of some kind, and it looked like sort of like a CIA or an FBI office, right? You know, like a police station in a skyscraper, right? And these cops were talking in this room, like detective guys and that, like. And I wasn't really paying much attention to the film. That's why I don't even know what it was. You get me? Like, I was just kind of like chilled out, drinking, like, and my mum was just watching it, like. Anyway, suddenly these two coppers are coming towards the camera along this corridor, leading this man walking behind them, right, with handcuffs on, right? This guy in handcuffs behind them, like, and they're like, come on, this way. And you know, like the way Officer Dibble looks in you know them, you know the New York cops, they got them hats with the peak there, and they're like hexagonal, like, you know, them, you know, the typical New York NYPD police hat with the just like pointy little corners on them, you know what I mean? These two cops dressed as cops, you know, like proper cops, like, leading this guy into the office, into this interrogation room, right, to be interrogated. And I'm just sitting there like thinking, wow, is there some guy being led in to be interrogated, right? And he said, and then my mum's watching, like, you know what I mean? My mum was the only witness. There was no one else there, you see, folks. There was only my mum, and she's deceased now. She's on, you know, my mum's on the other side now, you know what I mean? She was the only person that's seen this film, right? Next thing, as the guy gets closer to the camera and they're about to sit him on the table to interrogate him, you know, like you see them in films, they'd sit, you go, so where was you when there was the murder? Or where was you when this started, or whatever. I can't remember what the crime was supposed to be, what the guy had supposedly committed, but bear in mind what I told you about, like, I had a whole posse of men trying to catch me for, like, stealing things when I was younger, right? And they set this guy at the table, and he sits there with these handcuffs on, right? And the first thing I saw was like, I was looking at the fella on the, you know, just expecting to see an actor, right? First thing I thought was like, wow, he's got like scraggly hair and a beard like me, hasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? I was looking at my mum like that, going, wow, look, he's sort of a bit like me, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Like, a bit trampy and that, like, right? And then I looked closer, I was like, huh? And it actually was me. It was me on the telly being interrogated by these coppers with, you know, policemen with handcuffs on them, like sitting there like that, like talking to these guys, and they were bullying them, like they were like, oh, you better like tell us what we can do anything we want here while I've got you here. right? And I was like, I was just thinking, oh, and I actually thought to myself, what a lookalike, man, what a lookalike for me, you know what I mean? At first, I was like thinking, wow, I swear that's like the best lookalike for me I've ever seen in my life, right? Same hair, everything, same beard, everything, right? And I was like thinking, nah. But he looked like he'd been roughed up in the cell and everything, you know, like when they beat you up and that, when you're in chains and that, right? Right. And I just went like that, and then the guy was like talking, and every time he sort of looked towards the camera, you could clearly see it was me. It was actually me on the television in America, right? And I looked at my mum and I went, Mum, like my mum's quite a chatty person. She's like she could knock the hind legs off a donkey. Do you understand, right? I looked at my mum and I went, Mum, am I imagining things, or is that what I think it is on the telly there, right? And my mum's reaction was, she's looking at the screen like that, like absolutely gobsmacked, right? And then she just looked at me and went, you know, if you imagine the camera's me and then my mum, she went like that. That's how shocked she was. She was actually so shocked that I was on the telly being interrogated, like roughed up guys. It was like heavy. They were treating me like crap, man, you know what I mean? And they were like hitting me and everything, going, tell the truth, blah, blah. And for some reason in the film, like I was in the film, I was like, you know, like looking at them all and saying, you dickheads, you know, like I would, I'd be like, you treat me like this, I'll have you for this, guys, you know what I mean? There's no need for this, you know what I mean? I wasn't saying nothing, if you know what I mean. Whatever they were asking me, right, they were pumping me with questions, and I couldn't quite make out what they were talking about, you know what I mean? It was like watching reality on the television, right? And I was like that watching it, like. And my mum was the same. We were both like sort of silent, thinking, this can't be happening. And Bruce is on the telly, right? Right. And at the coppers were actually obviously heavy on them, on the guy, like, right, on me, right. It was me. You know when you see yourself in photographs and you see yourself on video or something and you go, wow, yeah, it's dead familiar looking, right. And I could clearly see it, right. And these two cops who were standing either side of me were horrible, and there was a man opposite me on the table asking questions, right? And every time I was like, wouldn't answer, the cops were hitting me and saying like, because we're going to rough you up. And you know, think about it, they were saying, I could have been raped or anything, do you know what I mean, guys? You know, so I've probably had a sore bum and everything, like I'm sitting there like that thinking, you guys, you're going to get it one day, you know what I mean? You don't know what you're doing here, like. That was what I seemed to be doing, like. Right, so next thing, they went, he's not going to help us, he's not going to communicate, take him back to the cell. I'm still watching it riveted. I was actually thinking, oh no, I can't believe this, like, it was in New York, like, right. And then, the eerie part, like, was when, you know in films, people don't look at the camera, do they, right? It's not the way I'm, like, looking straight at the camera now. People don't look at cameras in films, do they, when they're acting and that, like, because I was still thinking, it's just a look-alike, isn't it? It's just a look-alike in a movie, you know what I mean? But he wasn't famous, he wasn't anyone I could name, he wasn't like, you know, right, and he goes, just before they picked him up, but just before they sort of made him stand up and, you know, led him out of the room in chains with handcuffs on, right, he was sitting like profile that side towards the camera. And then he went and looked straight at the camera like that, as if he was throwing. I just felt like something come out of the television screen into me. Do you understand? Like he had eye contact with me through the television screen. Do you get me? That's the only way I can describe it. He just sort of went. He's looking at the coppers like that, as if say, yeah, right, you know. And then he goes, the way I'm staring at the camera now, that's exactly what he done. Next thing, they pull him up and drag him out and take him away. Like, you know, pushing him and punching him as they walk, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my word. And I said to me one, I was like, what, did did you just see what I just saw there, or what? Like, she was like, she was still speechless, guys. You know when you see your own mum speechless, she didn't even know what to say. She was like, she was looking at me as if to say, "What's going on here, Bruce? Why are you on the telly being beat up by the policeman there in America?" You know what I mean? I was like, wow, that's weird, man. And then they took him away into some, you know, some cell or something, like locked him in a cell. And then the film carried on. Then he went to another scene and all that, like, and I was like, wow. But it was like I got a supernatural frequency from it, guys. You know, when he looked at the camera, especially when he stared at the camera. You don't look at the camera in films, do you? Actors don't do that, like, you know what I mean? And he just did it with a stare look as if to say, "I'm passing this to you, Bruce, now, okay?" Right, and I felt something leaving the screen and coming into me and thinking, whoa. Man, you know, I'm reading books with this mad Indian guy in Mexico saying, you know, losing self-importance, using one's double, you know, using your double and stuff, right? And I was sitting there thinking, I don't even know if I'm the double or that's the double. You know what I mean? Actually, that's what was going on in my head. I was like, am I the double sitting here with my mum, or is that the double in New York? Which is which, man? I haven't got a clue, man. Right. Then, right, a bit later on, it like watching that, it must have been leading up to 9/11, because as far as I know, my arm man wasn't alive when 9/11 happened, right? So I take it that was about, you know, building up to that, right? Anyway, now remember 9/11, when it all happened, they found out there was gold bullion stored in there and everything, didn't they? You know, like large amounts, guys, you know, that they all recovered it all just soon after the whole buildings came down. They managed to somehow recover every single bar of gold, right, folks, you know. But anyway, they take the guy away, lock him up, whatever, and then I'm sitting there like sort of shocked, thinking, oh man, I don't know how to handle this, man, you know what I mean? I haven't got a clue. That's never happened to me before in my entire life, you know what I mean? I've seen myself on my own videos and that, like when I made my own porn movie and that, like. I'm only joking. Nah, right. But anyway, right, 9/11 happens, right, soon after, right. Now, I've actually put the videotape, it's on my channel if you want to find it. What I saw of 9/11, right, I was in bed, asleep, dreaming, right, I was asleep, dreaming. I didn't know nothing about it, I didn't expect it and everything. I told you what I seen in my dream. I seen something to do with the Washington Pinnacle, right, but I didn't see, like, I never in a million years would ever have thought the World Trade Center was going to come down, do you know what I mean, right, guys? And I got out of bed that morning and it was already, the first building had been hit, and my mum was like, had the telly on again, sitting there like, they've just crashed the plane into the World Trade Center. You know what I mean? It's like surreal enough, isn't it? Right, so I was like, what? What's going on? And then I put a videotape in the machine and started recording. I think it was just after the second plane hit, you know what I mean? It was getting a bit surreal, wasn't it? Right. Now, the videotape I actually put in the video machine in the living room where I was watching that, right, is actually on YouTube, right? I posted that up so that you can kind of, just in case any Americans, you know, because it's a British broadcast, it's how I seen it, whether I was the double or the real me, right? It's how exactly I saw it on television. I put the videotape in the machine, I started recording from when it's on YouTube, the actual videotape, from my viewpoint of watching it on television, right, guys, in England, in Liverpool, well, you know, near Liverpool, right? So I've shared that with you, so if you want to watch it, go back and find it, you know what I mean? I know my videos don't get promoted, do they, you know what I mean? And I know they're blocking anything to do with 9/11, aren't they? Right, but I'm not being conspiracy or nothing, it's just the videotape of what I saw, right? I can't remember the second plane had hit when I started recording, or just before it, I'm not sure, but they kept playing the loop over and over again, didn't they? It's a loop, remember, just a recorded loop, right? So I'm sitting there watching 9/11 actually happen and thinking, what's going on, man? You know what I mean? I've seen myself on telly in New York and that, right? Right. And this is where it gets crazy, right? all that passes by, they have all this weird stuff going on, don't they, right? And then later on, I have a dream, right? Now, because my dreams are quite lucid, guys. They're quite clear and lucid, right? Now, there were certain people who used to knock on me. I've done speeches about these people who used to knock on my door as if they were policemen searching for, like, snuff movies. Remember my speech about talking about where I fooled everyone into thinking I'd made a snuff movie, but it was just a pigeon being shot, right, guys? So they'd rifled through all my videotapes and found, VHS tapes, and they'd have been very disappointed when they watched it, because I wrote on the label snuff movie, because I always felt like I was being pursued and people were trying to arrest me, you know what I mean, right? The porn movie I made with an ex-girlfriend, I actually recorded over it when we split up, you know what I mean, but that's another speech altogether, man, right? Anyway, though, my home porn movie, like, but they could have been searching for that, couldn't they? You know what I mean? Thinking like, no man records over them. But I'm a decent guy, that's what I did, right? You don't believe me, it's up to yourselves, right? Anyway, a bit later on, I've told you about when all these guys used to knock on my door and kind of like, they all acted like cops, you know what I mean? I always felt like I was either being surrounded by military people or cops, all trying to hold me like a prisoner, right? But anyway, I have this mad dream, right? This is where it gets crazy, right? Vivid, lucid dream, right? In the dream, I was sitting in an office, like again, I was in New York, it looked like I was in New York, right? I'm sitting in an office, like on a chair in a room, as though I'd just been left there, right? Like I say, I had no choice, I couldn't choose to leave or anything. It was like I was being held prisoner there, right? Now, because I've got into this thing where I'm using me double and the art of dreaming, right, folks? You understand? I really got into it, guys. I really put my whole life and effort into it, because I had nothing better to do because I was mentally ill. Do you understand, right? All my ambitions had gone and everything. I'd stopped working. I wasn't fit to work. I was mental, right? So I got into this warrior's path thing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a warrior. And I'm sort of like sussing out, using me double, sussing out lucid dream and everything, right? I'm in this, like, I'm dreaming, I'm in this room, right? This is where it gets clear. This is crystal clear, this, guys. This is like, I can remember some of my dreams, like, just literally graphic, right? Now, I'm sitting in this room, and I was on a chair, and it didn't look like a prison cell or nothing, but it was like an office high up in a skyscraper, right? Now, I wasn't looking out the window or nothing like that. I was just sitting down, and I was thinking, in the dream, I was lucid. I was thinking, wow, where am I? I'm actually in an office here, and I don't recognise it. And I was looking around at the ceiling and the lights and everything going. And it was like, like doctor's certificates and stuff like that on the wall. You know the way these, like, Americans, they always have, like, little flags of the like baseball teams, and there was all kinds of certificates and things, so they were like high up whoever they were, right? I was sitting there like that, right? Next thing, I hear loads of commotion, right? Now, this is the weird thing, I think I was actually inside the World Trade Center, right? Because I'm sitting there like that, right? Not panicking, I was there because I love dreaming. I actually get right into them, right, folks? Even when I'm having a hard time, even when I have nightmares, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting like that. No one else is in the room with me, like. And for some reason, I'm not getting up and trying to walk around or walk away or escape. It was like I was sedated or something, right? Right? Do you understand? I had no instinct in me to go, like, what's going on? I gotta get out of here or anything. There was nothing in me, like, to even... I could have been wearing handcuffs, I don't know, I didn't look down at my hands in the dream like Don Juan tells us to, like, he actually says, like, look down at your hands in a dream, I was like that, right? And next thing I could hear, like, outside I could hear, woo, 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 no helicopters, planes, ambulances, the chaos that was going on outside during 9/11, right? So I assume I was either in a pad that was like either above the impact or below the impact, right? I was in a level in the World Trade Center, right? I was either above it or below it. All I know is the place I was sitting in was still intact. It wasn't like smashed or exploding or anything, right? But next thing, right, I'm sitting there like that, and some guy who I knew from where I lived at the time, who used to knock on my door regularly, like, and kind of like do me heading with cannabis and stuff like that, and boast about stuff and everything. He comes running into the room where I am, a person I actually knew from where I lived, right? He comes running into the room, and I went, wow, I won't say his name, right? I don't want, but if anyone watches this who knows me, I'll just do his voice. He's like, it's all like that, right? But anyway, he comes running into this room where I'm sitting, right? And he was like panicking, like proper panicking, like, you know, like as if like, oh my word, the building's on fire, he didn't actually say those words, but that was the way he was acting, right? I was just looking at him thinking, wow, is that so-and-so I know from where I live? Wow, what's he doing here in New York in my dream? Right? And he was looking around, panicking, right? And for some strange reason, he was trapped, because he would have just ran out the door and got off, right? You know what I mean? You know, he couldn't get out of the room, you know, the block, the apartment we were in, because he looked like he was clearly trapped, right? And I'm not supposed to be there in the first place, remember, you know what I mean? This is all true, by the way, guys. May the Lord God strike me dead if I'm like making this up, right? Okay. But anyway, he's walking around frantically. He doesn't even look at me and go, help yourself, get out of here. He doesn't even say anything to me as if I meant nothing to him. Do you understand? I was like a prisoner. Do you understand what I'm saying? It ties in with what I've seen on the television with me mum. Right. He was a cop or something, you know, he was like part of the team that went. He was one of the people that helped catch me, if you know what I mean, from what I can gather, right? So I'm just watching him dead calm thinking, he looks a bit like pissed off about something, doesn't he? Like, you know, the sirens going on outside like crazy, man, you know what I mean? But there's a window still there, there's a window on the right in front of us, right? And this is the weirdest part, man, right? The weirdest bit, right? I'll just put my bottle down so I can, you know, describe what he done. He looks around like we're trapped. How can I get out? How can I get out? Obviously the doors were blocked or something. Wherever he tried to get out, he couldn't get out of the building or something, down the stairs or whatever, right? Right? And remember, I suspected I was in a skyscraper and I hadn't even looked out the window yet, right? So I'm like watching, I just sat calm, I was just like the art of dreaming, I was just like, wow, this is real, this is happening, man, I'm dreaming here, man, but it's like real, man. And he looks around, he's looking up and down, he's thinking, can I go through the ceiling or whatever? And then he goes, what am I gonna get out, what am I gonna do? He didn't actually say nothing, I'm just talking about it. He didn't actually say a word to me like, help yourself, run, nothing, right? Then he runs up to the window, right, this window which is a skyscraper window that you can't open like a normal window, do you understand? And he goes, this is the weird thing, man, he walks up to the glass and he went like this with his hands on the glass, he went and pushed the glass to see if it moved, right, so I'd clearly seen him doing it. I was just watching him thinking, what's he doing, man? He went like that with both his hands, he went to see if the glass moved, you know, see if it had a little bit of give, right? And I was like, wow, what's he doing, man? Then he stepped back, right, imagine this is him, he stepped back like that and just went, ran like a nutcase, and went through the window, right? He jumped through the window, he smashed the window, he actually dived through the window, right? The window went, and then I just seen his legs go, out the window, right? And that made me think, wow, is that like someone I know just jumped out the window there, right? So it's the first time in the dream I actually thought, wow, I'll have a look out the window, see what's going on. So I stood up in the dream and slowly walked over to the window, which was like, you know, all broken, missing, like, and I looked down and it was like We were hundreds of feet up, man, you know what I mean? We were like proper high up, like, you know what I mean? We were in a skyscraper, and I was looking down, and it was like police cars and ambulances and fire engines all going ape shit, man. I was like, woo woo, blue lights everywhere, man. And I was looking down thinking, I don't know where I am, I don't know how I got here, I don't know what's going on, but it was New York. There was no two ways about it. When I looked at the skyline and everything, I was like, this is New York, I'm in New York, this is like crazy, what's going on, mate? And I looked down out the window, like, to see where he went, like, and he was like, there was a little body on the floor, mate. Oh, man. There was a little body on the floor. I could just about make him out, like, you know what I mean? I was thinking, that's him there, man. Like a little ant on the floor, man. Like, he just fell about. I don't know how high it was, but it was high, you know what I mean? It was a skyscraper, right? So it must have been, you know, one thing about apartments, the higher up they are, the more expensive it is, isn't it? Or, you know, it could have been a Federal Bureau of Investigation base or anything like, but it was high up in this skyscraper, which I actually think I was inside 9/11. I was actually in the World Trade Center, right, folks. I'm looking out the window and I see this little body on the floor, and there were sorts of people all running around him and that, like, as if to go, look, some guys jumped out the window, right, and you know what was mad about it, like, I actually see, you know, I've got quite good eyesight, I'm like eagle-eyed, right, I'm sort of zooming in and looking around, like, thinking, wow, he's just committed suicide, man, right? He's just committed suicide in front of me, like, what the fuck's going on? And then, like, next thing he started moving. He actually started moving, right? He was on the floor like a little ant, and I could see him sort of like moving. Next thing, he managed to get up off the floor. And he was like walking like Quasimodo or something. His bones must have been battered, he must have been like, and it looked like one of his legs was like distorted or something, you know what I mean, from the fall. And he actually walked away, you know what I mean? I actually watched him go like a little man in the distance, going like actually hobble, like he looked in severe like difficulty, you know what I mean? He was like, you know, because I was watching him from a distance, and all these little ants around him were all going, look at him there, man, oh man, look at the state of him. Because he must have been in a bad way, mustn't he, you know, because I was looking at it from above, like. But I couldn't really make out whether he was badly injured or not. He was obviously injured, you know what I mean? But he made his way off, like, somehow managed to walk away. I was like thinking, what kind of a person is he? An alien or something? I was actually thinking, was he an alien all along, or an extraterrestrial and we never knew? Like the film Paul. You know what's weird? His name was Paul, the lad in question. His actual name was Paul, but you know the film Paul, the alien, the comedy film, right? So he sort of hobbles off into the distance, and the next thing, the ambulances are getting closer, and like there's more and more. I know the way what happened on the ground during 9/11. Loads of people came in, didn't they, and loads of firemen and everything, right? Not realising the building was going to go down. Do you get me, right? And I just looked out the window, and then I just thought, and I still stayed calm. You know what I mean? I still thought, oh, that's mad, man. That's like, this is the craziest thing. Paul's just jumped out the window and there's chaos going on. What's going on, guys? You know what I mean? But because I was in a building, I didn't know where it was, and I looked at the doors and thinking, I don't even know which way to go to leave here, right? So I just went right back to the chair I was sitting on and sat down again, right? And I was sitting there like that, like thinking, what should I do, man? I don't know what to do. And the dream still didn't end, it continued. Where it was just like, but all I could hear outside was like, like, woo, woo, woo. Just chaos, man. It was just chaos. And you can imagine the noise from inside the skyscraper. That's exactly what I experienced, guys. I was there, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, somehow I'm like, and I actually started thinking to myself, like, using one's double, the art of dreaming, man. Am I actually dreaming here, or am I like a real double, or am I myself, you know what I mean? And just as I started, I was looking around thinking, best thing to do, right, is to, like, stand up, go out the door where he came in, because he came in from somewhere. But I was thinking to myself, why would he have jumped out the window if there was a way out? You know what I mean? I'm saying, no one commits suicide unless they have to, do they? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I looked like, and you know what this guy once said to me, like, when we used to talk to each other before all this, he used to go, I love sacrifice. You know, he had this thing, he's like a vampire, do you understand? He had this, like, vampire attitude to, like, the undead and that kind of stuff, you know. He's like a sort of Count Dracula character, if you know what I mean. A Mekon, like, you know, he's had, like, sort of eyes like that, like, oh, right, bad, bad. Right. But anyway, I looked at the door and I was actually working out my way out. So I was going, well, if I get up calmly and walk out of here, no one's going to stop me, are they? Even if I'm a prisoner of some kind. Because it seems like there's something serious going on here, man, right? And then just as I was starting to work out how to, like, walk out the building, right, I just felt the rumble, right? It just sort of like, and then all I remember is thinking, like, wow, what's going on now? And then I woke up, you know what I mean? I was in my bed. I was like, what? What's going on? I'm back in my bed, wow. And I assume that was the moment, right? Like, the whole building went, no, because that's why he was panicking. The place was on fire, obviously, and the stairwells were blocked. The elevators were damaged or whatever, you know, right? And I distinctly felt the rumble. I felt like an earthquake. I felt like an earthquake going on. But I was dead calm. I wasn't panicking. I didn't try and escape, you know what I mean? Now, if that was me there for real, or a double, I'd have just been ground to nothing, wouldn't I? Just absolutely ground to nothing. You know, just completely... It wouldn't have mattered to me, would it? There would have been no funeral required. No one would have known I was there, would they? No one would even have any proof of it. It would have been just nothing. It would have been ground to nothing, like, right? Because I assume I was being held there secretly anyway, you know what I mean? Somehow, because my mum was the only witness that saw that programme, you see, right? So anyway, I woke up the next day and I was like, wow, that was so real, man. And then obviously the 9/11 had happened, it already happened, right? And I was like thinking, that must have been the World Trade Centre, I must have been being held captive in the World Trade Centre, right? And then something happened, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know, the whole building went down, didn't it, you know? But I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware of being inside the place, like, right? And then a little bit later on, right, and now I'll leave that with you, you know, and what you think, what you want to think, right, you know. Like I say, I did speak about this on my old channel, and people were so interested, they were like, will you re-upload that speech? And I'd recorded over it, you know what I mean? So I've just said it as clear as I can, everything in detail, right. But anyway, the lad who jumped out the window, he knocked on my door a few nights later, right. And he come in and he's like, how's it going, everything alright? I was like, I had a mad dream about you, you know, the other night. And he went, whoa, what was it? I went, and I didn't tell him everything. I didn't tell him it was like we were in a skyscraper or whatever. I just said to him, he was in a room, right, and you actually... He didn't even question me. He didn't even ask me any questions apart from this. I went, you went up to the window. I told him that. I told him, like, you went up to this window, checked it to see if it was, like, flexible, right? Then you stepped back and you went psh, through the window and just fell like thousands of feet or hundreds of feet, right? And I looked out the window when you were on the floor, like, right? And he goes to me, this is the only question he asked. He didn't even sound surprised. He didn't even sound shocked or nothing, right? And he goes, and was it dead? And I went, and I actually lied to him, like, because I wanted to see what he said, right? I actually told a lie. I went, yeah, he was, like, he was dead, yeah. And he goes, well, that's alright then, isn't it? Right. I was thinking, how little does he know? I didn't tell him that he actually got up and he was walking away with, like, a cripple, like, He was like a hunchback, basically, right? I didn't actually tell him, alright, hey, my battery is low,